Greetings and welcome to another episode of our Black Gay Diaspora podcast. I'm your host, Eric. Looking forward to this episode's conversation with Stephen Kabuye, a Ugandan LGBTQ plus activist based in Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. Stephen is the executive director of Colored Voices Media Foundation, Truth to LGBTQ Uganda, a youth-led organization advocating for and promoting the human rights, health, and socioeconomic well-being of LGBTQ plus citizens. A lot of letters in there. Thank you to Russell Brooks in Montreal, Canada, episode 61 guest for connecting us. Thank you, Russell. Stephen is the recipient of the 2024 Troy Perry Medal of Pride, an award honoring fearless LGBTQ plus young people and community leaders who are making an impact through social and spiritual activism. That's all in quotes. Troy Perry is an American cleric and the founder of the Metropolitan Community Church, founded in Los Angeles, California in 1968. Stephen, in my opinion, is an example of someone who's using his experiences and his voice to advocate for the rights of queer individuals in Uganda and beyond to live as fully protected citizens. Since leaving Uganda at the beginning of this year, 2024, Stephen has continued to use his platforms to shine a spotlight on the human rights violations of LGBTQ plus Ugandan citizens. I look forward to learning more about Stephen, who he is, and how he keeps the flames of equality alive for himself and those around him. Without further ado, hey, Stephen, and welcome. How are you?
Hi, Eric. Happy to be here. I'm really grateful that I've been given this opportunity. I enjoy the podcast. I've been following it since 2022?
Oh, wow.
Since
Okay.
2022.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been listening in and following in for a long time. You won't believe this, but my notifications have been on since 2022 for the podcasts. Every time something new could be uploaded, I could go in and then listen in. I enjoy platforms that provide a voice to those that are deemed not worthy, yet they are the most worthy in the world. So thank you for the great work and everyone who joins in to add a voice and contribute on anything that lets the world out there know that we exist and we are human beings.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for listening. And it's great to hear that history as far as from the listener's side. And as I mentioned in the intro, definitely looking forward to learning more about you. You are definitely somebody who I want to celebrate and promote, especially for someone, I hope it doesn't sound trite, for someone as young as you are, you truly are a leader and a pioneer and a rebel. So I thank you, even though I'm a few paces ahead of you, for being an example for me.
Thank you, but I think people like you drive me a lot because apart from coming from a country where we are used as a tool of exchange or as a bargaining tool, people like you that speak up and provide to us platforms inspire me better. When I speak up, there is a platform where my voice is going to be aired and people will listen to it.
To kind of settle us into where we're at right now, how's your day going so far?
It's summer, the temperatures are very high. I'll go to school today and see how the day will end. Since I arrived here in winter, an experience I'd never experienced before. I'm experiencing summer again. Reminds me of Africa.
So what school are you attending?
I'm attending Douglas College.
Okay. What are you studying?
So far, I do not have enough pass to allow me to study here. I have a program I'm attending. It helps out queer people, especially those that are new to Canada, attain enough skills and experience to get jobs here before they dive into the real world, the real Canadian world. The program is called Q Plus Works, and I look forward to staying in school later on when I retain my papers. I want to pursue a career in human rights law.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to add another bachelor's on a bachelor's I have back home.
What's your degree in Uganda?
I have a bachelor's in information and communications technology.
From what school?
Yamakere University.
Did you go to the Pride festivities? I think they were in Toronto this past month.
I visited Toronto at the beginning of Pride Month. and I attended Freedom Party. I was one of the speakers, the main speakers at Freedom Party. That is a fundraiser organized by Rainbow Railroad. The Canada Pride is happening here in Vancouver. That will be in August.
Okay.
I can't wait. I can't wait because basically it will be my first Pride. I can't wait to be out there and showing the world that we are loud, we are free, and we are proud.
I look forward to seeing how you celebrate that. As I mentioned in your bio, you're the executive director of Colored Voices Media Foundation. Can you share about the organization?
It's a youth-led organization. We co-founded it in 2021, me and my other 4 friends. Basically, we use media to add a voice, and also we use innovation. We use performing arts, culture goods, and still art. We network inspired by family, the family network, to make sure we bring the LGBTQ plus individuals or Ugandans together, and we see how we can use this and show the world that we exist. So far, we've been much into using media to advocate for equal rights with the aid of Rainbow Advocacy and Our Pride from Los Angeles,
Oh, really?
California.
Okay.
Yeah, so far we brought together a little bit of LGBTQ plus youths that had remained homeless. We taught them tailoring skills where they were learning to tailor clothing or make clothing, different fashion and design. Funny enough, the project didn't exceed January this year. After the incident of a failed assassination in my life, my home was raided, and this is where these individuals were staying, and we scattered across the country. I found myself running away to save my life, running away from the country to Nairobi to save my life, and then later Canada. But we look forward to continue with other projects as the year goes on, as we look for more funding to make sure Colored Voices Media Foundation does that thing that it was created for. Colored Voices is situated in Uganda. We are informing the world, and I send this message to the government of Uganda that keeps sending in agents that threaten me or my colleagues with our work at Colored Voices, that we are going to continue speaking up and doing the work that our organization was aimed to do, advocate for equality for the marginalized Ugandans, most especially the LGBTQ. We've also used media and other platforms to fight against HIV/AIDS or reach the vision of End AIDS 2030. Luckily enough, we are part of the PEPFAR team in Uganda. We've also collaborated with different health centers in Uganda, like Alive Medical Services, which helps us with counseling of different individuals in the community and providing art services to queer Ugandans, and also helping us in advancing the message of PrEP. Because recently we've seen numbers of HIV infections rise in Africa, all in East Africa, and this is because of laws like the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023 that came in and rose the stigma, especially towards the gay, trans, and lesbian men and women in Uganda.
The organization sounds like it's all encompassing. It's not just the human rights aspect of it. You're making sure that you educate people on better health overall. What within you gave you the courage to co-found the organization?
I'm a person that is driven by passion and love and equality. Believe me, I'll feel uncomfortable if anyone is treated unequally. This time round, it evolved me because I get out of the closet in 2014. This is when I got out to my friends. We were still in school, in high school. This is when the Kill the Gays bill was roaming. It was Kill the Gays law. I was like having a conversation with my colleagues, and then I was like telling them, according to this law that is all over the news, what if I was gay? What would you do? Would you give me up there and they kill me? This is when homophobia was at its height in Uganda.
Okay.
This is when I was just 16, and they were quite understanding. And then I told them, do you know why you always ask me why I don't date girls? And then I keep quiet. And they were like, why? Like, I really find boys attractive. They understood me. They could always be protective. They could always bring that love to make me feel that I'm in place. I'm not out of place. Not everyone is going to understand you, but at least some understand you, which means in 10 years from now, a number of individuals would have understood being gay were born that way. I continued doing this. In 2021, during the height of COVID-19, these colleagues of mine, one was my ex-boyfriend.
Mhm.
They had been chased away from home, have nowhere to sleep, that failed to get necessary help because, of course, this was COVID-19 and the resources that were there to provide help to queer individuals were limited. Now, I'm like, I have a space at home. You can come and sleep here for a meantime as we look forward to see what we can do. So one time we are seated in the sitting room, we're having a conversation. And then I'm like, what if we do this in a way that is formal? We start debunking the lies different people put or say against our community. What if we start teaching how they can stay safe, how they can empower themselves, how can they do other things? Then I was like, we can do it. We can start an organization. And now we start an organization, Truth LGBTQ, we called it. Later on in 2022, we started the process of registering the organization legally.
Mhm.
Basically, they could not register it with Truth LGBTQ because they were saying it's going to promote homosexuality in Uganda. We failed to register it in 2022, but we continued trying again until in 2023 we decided to rebrand to Colored Voices Media Foundation. Now we started doing legal work. We continue different projects we are working on. I talked about the Cheering Our Way to Freedom. We have the Diary Room. We have different projects. The Diary Room is basically we bring individuals together. We could have a conversation as a family. Could help out with mental health, especially, our mental health has been really, really, very low due to the Anti-Homosexuality Act. Also share tips on how we can remain safe.
And all on the ground in your home country. It's great to hear that there's people like you on the ground there that have been championing it. If it's okay to talk about what happened in January of this year.
This is okay. So basically, the incident of January 2024 dates back from September 2022. I get a call from a friend, the Straight Nation as they call themselves, have made a WhatsApp group. They're discussing on how to bring a bill in existence that provides a death penalty to the LGBTQI plus individuals in Uganda. I'm part of this group.
Mhm.
I was added in as a secretary. This friend of mine is very, very religious and is part of the evangelical team that advocates against the queer people in Uganda. I now start to inform the world a law is coming into existence that is going to bring a death penalty to queer Ugandans. It came as a surprise because they weren't quite aware that people had an idea about it. In fact, I lost my old Twitter account and I had to open up a new one, which I'm using now due to that. By the time I reached March 2023, I had started getting death threats, a lot of them, through Twitter. This is when Elon had just taken over X, and X could tell you that they are not being recognized as hate speeches or anything like that, or acts or someone inciting violence.
Mhm.
So it continued on and on and on after the president signed the Anti-Homosexuality Act into existence. One of the co-founders of Colored Voices, Eugene Ntambi, who also aided to save my life, was beaten severely. In beating him, they were constantly asking him for my location. This scared me a lot, and I had to leave Uganda for a few months to flee to Nairobi. Life in Nairobi became very hard. I wasn't receiving any help from anyone.
Right,
I
right.
returned back to Uganda, to continue with my advocacy. I thought maybe the death rates were just an internet thing. They're not going to come into existence. On December, I had to go to attend the Constitutional Court hearing. This is when they started following me up. I was now realized that I'm back in the country and I'm around. On January 3rd, early in the morning, I call them my sons and daughters because I'm like their dad. We have a workshop where we train the tailoring and everything. It's drizzling a little bit. We will find you there. We were always moving out of the house in a group. So it could be difficult to target one person. Now I move alone. I have a habit of my phone is always in my hand. I'm always tweeting. So I get out of our gate, tweeting, walking, just a few meters. Motorbike parks in front of me. The passenger gets off. In our local language, Famsiazigwe, translated, die you homosexual. And then was swiping a knife. I don't know if he was aiming for this vessel, because basically the knife was aiming right to my neck. And then I had to put up my arm to guard my neck because I had my phone. I got this cut. The cut went through the bone. And then I started screaming and running away. There was a construction that was unfinished nearby. So I ran inside and then I hit a dead end. This person is chasing after me. On turning to come back and trying to dodge him, he stabs me in the stomach. He pulled his hand off, he left the knife in me. At this moment, I thought I'm dead. A few minutes, like something like 1 or 2 minutes, people had arrived in the scene, and I'm down crying and asking them to take me to hospital. They're like, if we take you to hospital, we are going to be arrested and charged of murder. 5 of them leave me there. So my brain comes back that I have a phone. I'm trying to call. I have no credit. I opened Twitter. I could not type. My hand I got a cut. That record video thing. And then I'm crying, asking for help. I'm like, maybe any of them could see this and maybe call. You get it? I remember the length of the video was the length of the video you're allowed to record. And then I'm like, click send. I don't know if the algorithm of X saved my life. I receive a call from one of my colleagues after like 2 minutes. It's like, Steve, are you okay? Next thing I know is I'm in hospital. They're trying to stitch my arm. I came back in a lot of pain and then I was shouting and crying. And the medical doctors are like, relax, we're trying to save your life. Let us stitch the arm. The ambulance is coming. We put you in an ambulance and drive you to Mulago Hospital. Mulago Hospital is across the capital. And I'm bleeding a lot. They had put a bandage to hold the knife in one position.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shouting. They try to kill me for who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, who are you? What is your name? And now I tell him my name. He got the glove off, got his phone, and then he checked and tells the nurses, this was a political attack. If we don't save him, they're going to blame us.
Oh, wow. The doctor said that.
They didn't have any intention of saving my life. He realizes who I am, and now he's like, if we do not save him, they're going to blame us for his death. We operate him immediately and we save his life. People had arrived at the hospital, my fellow activists, my siblings, I mean the people that the children, all the boys and girls I was staying with at home. Most of the people arrived knowing, having it in mind that I've been killed, I've been murdered. I was lucky to escape that morning alive. I got out of the surgery room. They had removed the knife. They had stitched my stomach. My arm was stitched again. I was put in a recovery room. 10 minutes into the recovery room, the Uganda police arrives. 2 men, not in uniform. They tell me, we're from the nearest police station. Can you please tell us what has happened? 2 men on a motorbike attacked me and they tried to kill me. They told me, die, you're homosexual. They're like, oh, okay, we will come back for a statement later when you recover. Another 10 minutes later, a lady arrives. She introduces herself. I'm an investigator. I've been sent here by the Metropolitan Police Commander, Luko Wesigire, to check on you. And I don't want to speak much because I've just got out of surgery. I'm not in good condition. She's like, oh, I just wanted a simple statement. I was like, oh, 2 police officers have been here. They already took that statement. Go to the nearest police station and they will give you that statement. She makes a call to her boss. She tells him, I've met the boy. He's just out of surgery. And then this shameless man, not knowing that he was on loudspeaker, says, can you bring him to the police station to make a statement? He has even crimes to answer. We are looking for him for promotion of homosexuality. I'm fighting for my life. I don't know if I'll make it in the next hours. And he wants them to arrest me out of the recovery room and take me to the police station to do a statement, and they charge me with other charges. This is when I knew that I'm not safe. This same man was part of that WhatsApp group that started the anti-homosexuality bill movement. From here, Dr. Frank Mugisha calls the hospital and tells them, we want to move Steve into a safer hospital. He's not safe in that hospital. The hospital says we cannot let him go because we've just operated on him. If he dies, they're going to blame us. But we have private rooms upstairs where we can keep him safe. A friend of mine who is also a journalist, she was like, I have a friend of mine from Reuters who wants to cover your story because they've refused us to cover your story in Uganda. Abu Bakr comes in, takes the picture, runs the story. When Abu Bakr was leaving, my ward was stormed by 30 policemen.
In your room?
Some dressed in police uniform, others dressed in common clothes. And then one of them introduces himself as the police commander.
Uh-huh.
Are you in good condition to be taken to the police station? My health was getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
The anesthesia I was wearing off. I was in a lot of pain. There were lawyers from Hiraf, Uganda. They told these police officers he's not in condition to speak. We saw the video, we checked all his internet, and now we know who he is. He's a threat to the country. He had a bag on his back when he was stabbed. We want that bag. They gave them the bag. It had my laptop, my documents in, my organization of documents. I remember my laptop had a flash disk in it. They wanted to take all of these things and my phone, but they were denied access to it by the lawyers until they have enough documentation to take this. Then they asked for someone who brought me to hospital. They were like, you cannot take him because he hasn't done anything wrong. He just brought this one to hospital. They demand to go and see the place where the crime happened, the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
They did nothing on the crime scene. They asked him to take them at my home. He's like, I'm not taking you anywhere unless you have a search warrant. In retaliation, they arrested him for disobeying the police.
Who is this again?
This is Eugene Ntambi. We work together in Colored Voices. They take him into custody. They tortured him a lot. They kept asking him questions where he met me. They kept asking him if I have HIV, if I've given him HIV.
Wow.
How I became gay, if I'm the one that nurtured him into being gay. At one time, they took him back into the police cells. This police officer tells these other criminals inside that, okay, this one I've brought is a gay man. You can do whatever you want on him. By the time he was got out of custody the next day, this jaw had to be stapled to get back into position. I had to battle with the pain and I had to battle with the trauma because my home that very day was raided. They took everything that belonged to me, from travel documents to as low as a toothbrush. They went to the neighbors and told them, did you know that these boys were gay and have been recruiting boys and children into homosexuality? It was like they were inciting violence against us. On the third day, police officer visited me to get a statement. This guy kept asking me how I became gay, if I have HIV, how many children have I nurtured into homosexuality, which country specifically sponsoring me to spread propaganda and lies against the Ugandan government. Later in the night, I remember talking to Dr. Frank Mugisha of SMAG, Sexual Minorities Uganda, and I tell him I'm not safe in Uganda. This is what happened today. When they came to get a statement, they basically do not want to find justice for me. They want to find a way to charge me. And towards the morning, he calls me and then he tells me, we've organized a flight for you early the next morning. And by 5 a.m., I was at the airport. I got a chance to get through immigration without noticing me. By the time they noticed that I was flying out, I was already on the Kenyan Airways and it was already on tarmac. I was at a flight risk. I wasn't ready to fly. By the time I arrived in Nairobi, my blood pressure was up and I could no longer speak. Luckily enough, on boarding, I had given a flight attendant at my medical documents and I told him that I had just finished surgery, flying to Nairobi to get more medical care. An hour later, when we landed at Jomo Kenyatta, they called in an emergency ambulance that drove me to hospital to save my life. But still it went on even in Nairobi. Because one time I was getting out of the hospital, I remember a car parking outside my apartment. Protect Defenders Kenya had to come in to relocate me to temporary safety until I got a chance to get out of Nairobi and fly to Canada. By the help of Rainbow Railroad, I fly to Canada, so I had to seek asylum.
How long were you in Kenya before you went to Canada?
I was in Kenya for roughly 2 months.
2 months. Okay, that's a long time. Wow, you're a miracle. Thank you for sharing that. It's a testament to the fact that you're so passionate about human rights, that you were such a threat to the government. It's an amazing story. I'm so, grateful that you're here to share it and with other people. And thank you too for clarifying about the police, because I was looking up things and I came across, he said he was a spokesperson, Patrick Onyango, but I wasn't sure in what he was sharing if they had actually taken you out of the hospital and detained you.
Yeah, Patrick Onyango, shame upon that man. Before they even got a clear statement from me, he was already on the news telling people that I stabbed myself.
Yeah, I did see that, yeah.
I'm here to tell them that LGBTQI plus Ugandans exist and their rights deserve to be protected. The reality that is really happening in Uganda, because this is not aired out of Uganda, the news are censored. Many have died, many have not made it, many have not become survivors, many have remained victims of homophobia, of transphobia, of hate crime. What is really happening in Uganda towards the queer Ugandans? Not everyone has a chance to get out of there. How can we make sure they stay safe in a country where we are used as a bargaining tool? When Museveni feels he's been abandoned by the West, he now accepts money from evangelists. So we've been used as a tool. Basically, after the Anti-Homosexuality Act, after its passing until today, we've seen politicians in Uganda, the Speaker of Parliament in Uganda, being discovered in corruption scandals and coming up and saying that it is the gays that are after her. We are being used as a chip or as a bargaining tool for the 2026 elections. This population that has been nurtured into being very religious, into being very Christian and being very Islamic, are believing these rights. But we are their brothers and sisters. We are their sons and daughters. We just have different affection when it comes to love. We are humans like them.
You mentioned the evangelicals. I've heard that before.
Yeah, so the evangelists, you cannot talk about the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023 and you leave Sharon Slater behind and Family Watch International. Sharon Slater and Family Watch International met with the First Lady of Uganda in May 2023. And in their meeting, I remember Janet Kataha Museveni, the First Lady of Uganda, tweeting and saying, I met Sharon Slater, the Executive Director of Family Watch International. And in our conversation, they asked me to support the anti-homosexuality bill in a way they can protect family values. This is when the all dots connected. Sharon Slater was part of the WhatsApp group that started the discussion of the anti-homosexuality bill. She has sponsored a lot of evangelists in Uganda, including Pastor Martin Sempa, who is very, very homophobic and transphobic. For a long time, Pastor Martin Sempa has been doing this. Family Watch International was also used to move money, was paid to legislators in Uganda, passing through the Speaker of Parliament, given to the legislators to pass the Anti-Homosexuality Act. This is not $1 million. This is more than $20 million paid to different individuals in different sectors, including media houses, churches, members of parliament. They are investing as much money in Africa because they are now failing in countries like the United States or Canada, where equal rights are emphasized. LGBTQI plus rights are prioritized. From passing the anti-homosexuality bill in Parliament, proposing bills that are trying to take away family planning, contraceptive rights from women. The misinformation that us as Colored Voices Media Foundation debate every day And this person was on a Twitter space telling people that I have billions and billions of money on me given to me from Illuminati. I laughed. This information against the LGBTQ individuals in Uganda is high, and we need more organizations to continue doing the work we are doing as colored voices to make sure we debunk these lies. We are lucky that the USA is picking leaf. They are bringing in policies that are helping us at least hold these politicians accountable, like visa sanctions. Eric, if we were in Uganda and you are holding this podcast, did you know that even if you would have been straight and not gay, you would be eligible for 20 years in jail for promotion of homosexuality if arrested?
Okay.
You're not supposed to say the word gay anywhere in media or anywhere in public. It is deemed as promotion. And when we talk about conversion therapy in Uganda, it's worse. It's worse on both gay men, and it's even worse when it comes to lesbians. I recently helped a lesbian from Uganda come to Canada through Rainbow Railroad to safety. She had been kept somewhere for a full year, moved through conversion therapy. How do they deem conversion therapy? They've been raping her multiple times. They say they were trying to make her straight. This is what they call conversion therapy. Another one I helped is in Kenya. I don't know if I'll ever get her to safety. By the time we saved her, she had already got pregnant. For the gay men, they are put into mental health facilities. They are put onto pills that are given to people that have mental problems. The people are not educated that you're not even allowed to rent a house to a gay man or a lesbian woman, a trans individual.
It's interesting hearing all of that because it sounds like what was being done 50, 60 years ago in the US and then in the UK and other countries.
We need more voices to be added on our voices. It's worse in Africa. It's worse in Uganda. Our colleagues are committing suicide. I've flee Uganda to refugee camps in Kenya because they are no longer safe in Uganda. And it's even worse in the camps because most of them are fleeing to Kakuma refugee camp, which is in northern Kenya, a place that is like a desert. They are being burnt alive by the natives there, awaiting relocation that will never come for them, for some of them. Let us petition our governments to start defunding. We continue funding certain projects, and when this money arises, it's diverted to other things. Collective sanctions will not help, but individual sanctions can work. And then if it's all about funding certain projects, we have different organizations in Uganda that can help provide services to all individuals collectively, including the LGBTQI plus without discrimination. We have the Church of Uganda that woke up in the morning, the Archbishop woke up in the morning and said they are separating themselves from the Church of England because it was supporting gay rights or supporting LGBTQI plus rights. We still have countries that are still funding the Church of Uganda. They claim that they are funding different projects, but these projects can also be done by non-profits. The only way we can help our brothers and sisters is by standing with them in solidarity. For me, as myself, I have something that drives me every time I feel like giving up. I look behind what I've passed through while growing up, how my family closed the door onto me when they realized that I was who I am. I start putting every LGBTQI plus individual in my shoes, and I realized that this is what everyone is passing through. I'm going to continue doing what I do, going to continue advocating for what I advocate. I'm going to continue speaking up. I'm going to continue lobbying. I'm going to continue pushing to make sure one day we get freedom.
Even though you're not there, that you're still fighting the fight. How have you been able to adjust to life in Canada?
Adjusting to life has been not easy. I remember arriving in Toronto in March. Imagine arriving in a snowstorm. So I've made friends, I've networked. I remember moving out of Toronto and flying to Vancouver. I remember arriving in Toronto and the resources We are limited because they have a high number of refugees there. I had to fly into Vancouver with the help of a friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine, who helped me pay for rent for the first 2 months as I looked for my papers and everything, work permit and all of that. I'll say that the resources are there to help you out, and you just have to look for them. The organizations have been set up to help you adjust and get used to life. There are people that are ready to help you. You do not have to remain in despair. Pushing for what we understand. I'm from Uganda. We come from societies that are way, way backward in everything. Education, economy-wise, policy-wise, and all of that. Freedom-wise, freedom tastes better, but you make sure you don't take it too much, because when you enjoy the freedom here too much, you might lose the grip. I send a message out there to my fellow youth that are in Canada, my fellow Africans that are in Canada. Make sure you do not let the freedom test you, but test the freedom. When you let the freedom test you, you will end up not achieving those goals or not achieving that dream. Because we all have a dream. We can enjoy life, but let life enjoy us. We know where we come from in Africa. We are very hardworking. Remain hardworking, remain motivated. This is what has kept me going, and it keeps me going every day. Remain motivated. Do not give up on our fellow Africans, especially queer Africans, because it's us that can make a change. Our voice, our lobbying, our speaking up. Let the world know what is really happening back home, and we can make that change.
You mentioned organizations and also Rainbow Road. Are they the ones that you're affiliated with in Canada?
Rainbow Road has done much to help me out just in Canada, right from Kenya. They helped me fly to Canada. They got me flight tickets. They've helped me network a lot. They've helped me continue speaking up. They've helped me connect with different people, network with different people. And on the other hand, other organizations, especially in Vancouver, different organizations. I cannot mention all of them. I have a friend of mine who is not comfortable to be mentioned. I like to say thank you if he gets a chance and listens to this podcast. I know you understand yourself. Thank you. Thank you a lot. You've provided to me that fatherly love I last got since my dad died when I was 9. Thank you a lot, and keep doing what you do. I love you.
I think you shared a lot of your experience, but also the ways in which we could be better people. Do you have any final thoughts or insights?
To my fellow Africans, I'll send this message to the LGBTQI plus community globally. We were winning the war in Africa, but we are losing it by the anti-LGBTQI plus laws that are moving across the African continent are one of the reasons we are losing this war. But we have to stand up and move from lamenting to action. The anti-LGBTQI plus movement is investing a lot of funding. Uganda, for example, most of the politicians that are moving these laws into parliament, from the one that brought the 2009 one to the one that brought the 2023 one, are individuals that have been nurtured, trained, and educated by the anti-LGBTQI plus movement. If we are to win the battle in Africa, we have now to concentrate into empowering our individuals. Let us move from just speaking up to empowering them economic-wise, education-wise, career-wise, and all of that. So that in 20 years from now, we have enough individuals that are politically firm, that are career-wise firm, when we are attacked. Of course, we can win this battle today or tomorrow. We're seeing recurrent bills or laws being brought into existence every after 1 decade. The one in Uganda, for example, every after 1 decade, they bring another one. How about we stop sitting down after we win and we strategize and we see how we can? Because basically, I believe that today, why countries like Canada, where I am, it is difficult to lose a battle here when it comes to LGBTQI plus rights, because for the last 3 decades, we've nurtured and empowered LGBTQI plus folks. We lack this in Africa. I'm saying this because I've been in Africa, I've been in Uganda, I've been in Kenya, I've been to different countries in Africa, and I know how it is. I've now come to North America. I've put it all on a weighing scale. I can see the difference. We need to make sure activists or non-activists, as long as they are queer, they are being empowered in all sectors, so that by the time we win the battle against anti-homosexuality act in Uganda, or we win the battle against the anti-LGBTQ law in Ghana, or maybe we win the battle in any other country. Recently, Namibia won a battle against their law, and now they're bringing another one in existence. If we have a community that is stronger and empowered, these laws cannot come into existence because we stand firm and we can oppose them.
Thank you. Thank you. And for those who want to connect with you online, where can we follow you or reach out to you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, on X. That is Stephen Kabuye 5. You can follow me on Instagram, Steve Kabuye 5. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Stephen Kabuye. All of my social handles have a blue check mark. They are verified. You can follow those with a blue check mark.
Okay. Thank you for spending time with us. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Share with your friends too. You can also follow us on Instagram at Our Black Gay Diaspora and on Twitter at BLK Gay Diaspora. Until next time.